right, let's go ahead and start. First of all, I just want to say welcome so much for coming today. Thank you so much. I have no idea how many people are going to come. Like, we're going to have 5, or we're going to have a few more. So this is wonderful. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Laura Wiemet, and I'm the lower school reading specialist here at TCA. I'm in my 11th year. I can't hardly believe it. I have 3 kids that have gone through TCA. My oldest just graduated, and she's a freshman in college at the University of Arkansas. I have a boy who's a junior, going to be on that Friday Night Live football field tonight. And then my youngest is actually 8th grade. Her name's Anya, and she was actually in the very first pre-K. She was in that inaugural year when they started it. So that group is now in 8th grade. And high school is coming faster than I think can sometimes keep up with. Like, it's hard to believe my youngest is going to be in high school soon. But TCA has been a huge blessing, and so it's just so fun for me to meet with a group of parents where you're at the beginning of your journey. And there was I was watching some young families at one of the Friday night lights, you know, the picnic and the grill, and I'm like, you have so many fun, amazing years ahead of you. Like, you know, this just it's a special place. And so I'm just like so excited that you're at the beginning of that journey. Like, how wonderful. So let me open us up in a word of prayer, and then we'll get started. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning just so thankful for your faithfulness and your provision that has brought us here today. Lord, we thank you so much for the gift of these children that you have entrusted us with. And your design of the child, Lord, we ask that today's meeting really honors your design of how you made a child, and that you help us have wisdom as we guide and shepherd these young little souls here at TCA, as well as in our homes and beyond. Lord, we are so thankful for this opportunity today to think about how we can build readers and writers from a young age. Lord, we lift up this conversation to you, and we give you the honor and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay. All right, first of all, does everybody have a handout? No, there's a couple that just kind of came in, so I'll make sure that everybody has it. The last few pages are the actual slides from the PowerPoint. And notice, I have plenty. I have so many. So go ahead and thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. So, you know, we always want to start with a good question, right? So, what is reading? Like, think about that for a second. We read so automatically, we don't really even think about it. So just take a moment and stop and think, what it actually is reading. I'm going to have you turn and talk for just a minute to the person next to you. How would you define reading? What is that? We're going to chat this morning. This is one of the questions I would ask my students. What is telling them out?
The whole point was like making sure so the next time you see it, you're like, well, I know.
Usually, yes. I can't second that. I mean, she's not receiving great, but I
Okay, let's talk about it. What is reading? What are some things you said? Just throw it out there. What's reading?
I said turning shapes into sounds into words.
There it is, right there. Great summary, right? It's a cognitive process, so it happens in our brains, right? And it's constructing meaning by decoding print symbols in a fluent and coordinated way, right? And it replicates language, so we have to pull on our language skills to help us create meaning and then thinking in response to that meaning. That's a lot, right? And so it is. It's a good, solid 2-year journey to get from just learning the letters to reading, right? And so it's about making all those little drops in the bucket. So first of all, one of the things that we can really work on when we have, 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds is really thinking about their language development. The more language a child has, the easier it is to learn how to read and write, because they have more words and more experience with language, and reading is language written down. So as you're thinking about how you're developing your language with your child, right, we want them to have different categories of language, like narrative talk, telling stories is so good for them, that sequence. And I know that can be an act of patience sometimes for to let them get it all out. They, like that is good exercise for their brain. Like, let them just talk, because they're pulling language and they're putting it together. And so those pauses, think of them like they're like lifting a heavy dumbbell because they're trying to pull it together. Explaining and seeking information. Say, what did you learn today? What are you learning about? Or you read a book about koala bears. What was this book about? And then asking questions, which young kids do so well because they're just curious. And then having that performance reading, where there's poems and finger plays. One that I do a lot with PreKers in the hallway is like, see what's your name, Daniel? Like, Daniel, Bobanel, Banana, Fofanel, Bima, Mobanel, Daniel, right? And so we're always doing those like sing-song things, those nursery rhymes. They all have a point to help build in that language. Giving and understanding directions, right? Learning the rules of conversation. That takes some explicit teaching, like I talk, there's a pause and you talk, right? We're looking at each other, we're making eye contact, we're following directions. You can start with 1- and 2-step directions, and it's really good to give them a verbal, a non-verbal cue, like first we're going to do this, right? Then second. So they can attach it, okay, first, second, and then start with 2-step directions and keep building on. Because that's a big part of classroom learning too, is being able to hold on to directions and then carry it out. And then ask clarifying questions if there's a direction they don't understand. And then vocabulary development, just continually talking about the world around you and pointing out new words, new concepts. I was even thinking about when I was little, like it was before I could order my groceries, I would have my kids in the cart. It's kind of dating me now, and I would walk to the grocery store and would point out all the things, like, oh, look at that artichoke. And we would touch the artichoke. I wouldn't necessarily always buy it, but we would talk about so many things. And so it's just like taking that awareness and talking about all the things that you're doing and seeing to build that vocabulary. It takes a child about 30 times to hear a word before they start taking it on themselves. That's a lot of times, right? It's not a one and done. They got to hear that word over and over again in many different contexts and ways. So there's some tips that can help build this language. Is that children really need to be talked with. So like when they're watching a screen, right, they're being talked to, right, or at, but they need to have that back and forth, right? And we want to speak in a clear manner, avoiding that baby talk. Sometimes you'll notice that your children will do like what's called immature language, which is totally normal. Like, I doed it, right? And you say, oh, yes, I see you did that. Right, we're not correcting them, we're like repeating what they are saying, but then emphasizing the more like sophisticated language that we're wanting them to keep shifting towards. And really helping children speak for their needs, like teaching them how to order at a restaurant. Really avoiding talking for your kids. Like if you're at church and someone comes up and asks your child a question and they're just standing there, I know it's kind of an awkward pause, but they're pulling their language together. You can bend down and help them, kind of get them started, but really try to avoid talking for them. I was actually talking to someone, a 4-year-old, and they said they were practicing ordering at a restaurant. They practiced at home quite a bit, and then they got to the restaurant. They practiced it. The waitress came, and they kind of did it together first, and then they're like, now my 4-year-old orders all their own food. And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. But it does take some training and some intentionality. Right? And just thinking that when you're at a restaurant, that's a great time to have those conversations and really building that language development. It's a natural time when you're sitting at the family dinner table, just being intentional about building that language. You know, screens, I'm just as guilty as everyone with this, right? Screens they kind of tend to pull us. And so we really need to be very diligent about limiting our use of screens when we're with our children, especially during prime talking time, and limiting their use, right? I found that word phubbing. Do you guys know what that was? I didn't know what it was. It was coined in 2010. It's in the dictionary now. It's called phone snubbing. It's when you are choosing your phone over the presence of people when you're together in the same room. And so there's just a lot of research coming out now about the impact of too much screen time on kids' vocabulary and kids' language. And the more immature their language is, the harder it is to learn how to read and write. And so it takes some intentionality because, like, we are busy with our phones. I'm using my phone as like I'm ordering groceries, I'm paying bills, I'm doing all the things, and the kids don't necessarily know that's what I'm doing, right? And so like making a list of here's my to-do list that I need to do, because I'm guilty. I'm like walking around like, oh, I need to like RSVP for that thing. It'll pop in my head and I want to do it that moment. So I've started using my Alexa, and I have a phone to-do list. Like, Alexa, put this on my phone to-do list. I need to RSVP that. And then I sit down and I do my whole to-do list, and it's so much more efficient, right? And it's like, because I can get pulled. Another thing I was learning, when my kids kind of hit my like 8th, 9th grade time, and I was trying to help them plan different things with their friends, they were like dumbstruck. They had no idea how to plan something. And I started to realize the language of planning an event was invisible to them. They had not seen it. I've been texting all the plans. They didn't understand how there was that back and forth. Like, hey, are you free this day? Actually, no, I'm not, but I'm free this day. Like, they didn't know how that language works back and forth. And I started thinking back in the 80s when I was a kid, I heard my mom talking on the phone, right? And I overheard that language of planning. So that's true for so much that we do on our phone. So if you can get your child up on your lap, let's go order groceries together and talk about the different foods you're seeing and just build that language in another way, more through that, since we do so much digitally. But it was one of those aha moments I had, like, oh, I gotta teach you how this works, because you have no idea. And research is really clear about limiting, pre-K to 1 hour a day. All right, so you're going to be getting a goodie bag here at the end, and there's a few things in it, including this lovely ABC chart. So I love what Lucia said up here. She said it's about learning the shapes of the letter. That's a big part of preschool, is just learning what the letters look like. Because up to this point, right, this is a monkey. This is still a monkey. This is a monkey, right? No matter if I squeeze it, it's still a monkey. But I look at this. What is this? What is it? What's this? A W. Oh, it changes, right? So it's the first time in their life they're having experience with orientation matters. Like this, that's different than other shapes they've had experiences with until that point. And so much of it is learning what the shape looks like, right? And then attaching a name to that shape. So visual discrimination is a huge part of being an emergent reader, of noticing what they look like. So we're attaching a name to the letter as well as a sound to the letter, right? So if your kids are having trouble taking on both, just focus on the name first. Just get the shapes down. Then once they have the shapes, then you can layer on the sounds. Some kids can learn both together the same, and they don't have a problem with that. But if you feel like your child's kind of becoming a little bit confused, that's one way to make it simpler and to build towards that. So avoid adding to the end of sounds. Okay, so this would be like the letter M is M, not M. Okay, letter T would be T, not T. Because if we add the U to it, right, that's going to come out in their, when they start decoding words and when they start writing words. Like, I just had a first grader, like so many U's at the end of the words. And I'm like, oh, you're saying, she would write mad, So M-A-D-U. She heard that at the end of the D, right? So you want to keep the sounds very clean and clear. And, you can have them point to it. You can just have them go through A, B, B, C, C. So much is happening there. They're doing one-to-one. They're pointing to it. Then you can even add the sounds in. B, bear, b, right? C, cat, k, or celery. I would kind of maybe at the beginning drop the soft C for pre-K. D, dog. Okay, like that. You can read it up and down, many different ways. But they'll be getting this chart and they do a lot of pointing to it. And so by the end of the school year, they'll be very familiar with this. And they're connecting back to it. So they can use it for saying words slowly, thinking about what sounds you hear. We use it for writing and identifying letters within words in books as well. Okay. Today you're also getting a set of magnetic letters. Some of the gift bags have a lowercase set, some have an uppercase set. I would recommend ordering off of Amazon whatever you didn't get, so they have both sets. You can get a really cheap cookie sheet from Dollar Tree, and you can put them on there, put like one of each letter, and they can play matchup, match the uppercase to the lowercase. And it really is important that we want to keep the letters facing them, like not at an angle, right? Because it's about that orientation. A W and an M are different. And there's tons of games you can play. Actually, in your handout, there's 25 different ways to use magnetic letters. And I actually, my son was very kinesthetic. He would not sit still. So like I was like, okay, he likes to do things. So I would use sidewalk chalk and I'd write a couple letters. And I'd be like, jump to the letter M, skip to the letter T. And so he would actually physically jump over, and you can do all kinds of games. But you really want to keep it playful and fun to really keep that joy in there. And just remember they're learning the shape of the letter. You'll also in your gift bag get a copy of this is one of my favorite ABC books because it's so clean and clear. Okay, look at how clean these letters are. They're big, they're not decorative, right? They're black, they're bold. The shape really pops out. And so there's so much language that you can talk about within each one of these. But it's a pretty book, so I hope your child enjoys that book as well. Okay, so have you seen your little shared reader books come home? Okay, let me explain those a little bit because there's a lot going on in that book that I want to make sure that we are grabbing onto as we're helping our children practice. So we work on a lot of letters in isolation, right? We're looking at the letters, we're talking about the letters, like you probably see it come home letter, just we're focusing on a letter. But there's also this, we need to pull the letter into text to start the brain coordination. So we really need to think of those shared readers as we're trying to get the brain, the eyes, the mouth, and the finger all in alignment, okay? That's hard, right? They have to learn one spoken word is one word written on the page. So we call that one-to-one course, or one-to-one ratio. So like if the word winter has 2 syllables, but it's one word. Or the word girl is one word. So sometimes kids want to tack syllables. So sometimes they want to point to one word and say 3, right? So it's about helping them to see how print works. And so it's like, think about it as like eye training, right? So they're pointing, I see 3 words, I say 3 words. They're noticing that there's a white space in between each word, and that is cueing them that they need to separate it. They're getting their eyes to move left to right, top to bottom on the page. I've actually noticed that I'm really having to teach kids very explicitly, make your eyes start here. Go left to right. Because, and I was talking to my daughter's eye doctor, and she said, I was asking her like, I'm really having trouble getting kids to go straight across a line. And she said, I was just at a conference, and we were talking about eye muscles and how, like the iPad has bright lights that jump all over. And so the eye is being trained to follow bright lights. So really the point of the shared reading is to get their eyes to go this way, right? And then we go down. So if they're going really fast, they're missing that eye exercise, right? We want to slow them down so we can get that eye movement. So there's so much that's actually happening that is like going to help when they actually start reading, right? If they're struggling, just say, watch me do it. Let's do it together, right? And then they can copy you. So they're really very clean and crispy, pointing under the letters. I just want to show you this cute little girl. What does this girl know about reading? I mean, how cute is that, right? She knows, and look at this page, her eyes are in the right spot, right? She's looking, she's making jibber jabber, but she's talking, right? She's obviously seen a lot of reading. Okay, so after we learn letters, right now we're also learning the concept of a word, right? We pretty much already talked about that, but then the last bullet point, a group of words is a complete thought that makes a sentence. So using those words very cleanly, letter, word, sentence. Those are three abstract concepts that they're trying to learn, right? That's hard. All right, so if a child doesn't know any letters and they get that shared reading book, this might be what it looks like to them, right? And so let's just see if you can read Wingdings with me, okay? All right, everybody, this is a story about Dad. It's a story about all the things that Dad is doing. Ready? Read it with me. Let me hear you. Dad. Read it with me. Dad.
Dad is driving. Dad is cooking. Dad is running.
You guys are amazing. You guys can read Wingdings, right? So what did you actually do, right? You were reading left to right. You knew there was 3 words on a page. You didn't say, Dad is driving the car, because you knew there wasn't more words there. You were moving left to right. You understand spacing, right? So this is what it might look like as they are still learning the letters. And then it's going to get more and more clear to them. Whoops, wrong way. Right, so then they start learning more and more, and we're going to be drawing their attention to more and more. So pretty soon, like, we want them, okay, so look at my finger, right? It's not like this, right? It's all tucked back. We want them pointing under the first letter, not on top. We don't want them to cover up any of the print. We want the brain to see the whole print. So we want them pointing to the first letter because that's where we want their eyes to look first. So we have Dad is cooking. Right, we're starting there. Then pretty soon they start learning some letters. They see this so many times, like, okay, now I know what that looks like. Now I'm attaching sound to it. Dad is cooking. Then it gets a little bit more. They see this word is over and over again. Now they know it. Dad is cooking. They know the letter C. Now they're learning more. Now they're seeing the whole thing. Dad is, they learned the word look. Now they're using look to help them with the word cook. Then they're looking, Dad is cooking. So I want you to think of these shared reading books as a way of learning letters and a way of learning sounds. Like, we don't want to say man is stirring, right? Because we're helping them learn this is what this print looks like. We're learning that symbol, and now we're attaching a sound to it. It's like the very beginning of all that brain orchestration, where they have to layer so many things together. Okay, so like this, right? We would read it, I went the wrong way. You got the idea. I'm gonna keep going. Okay, any of these belong to anyone here? It's cute. So now we go into writing, right? So writing is also another beautiful avenue into the reading. Writing and reading are so reciprocal. So reading, we're building sounds together. Writing, we're slowing it down and going the opposite direction, right? So Look at this. This is so amazing. She's writing left to right, top to bottom. Like, check, checks. That's a big win, right? She's moving the right direction. It doesn't look like print yet, but she's understanding how print works, right? This one over here, like she's starting to look at all those letter-like formations, right? It's coming. And we want them just to play with it and keep experimenting with it, and it will, putting a pen in their hand is amazing for letter learning, because when they have a message, they want to write it down. So then now they're motivated. There's something they want to write. Like, first of all, is their name, right? They want to write those names. And we're really going to focus on writing name with their uppercase, and then the rest of the letters being lowercase. So we're going to kind of keep transitioning to that, because when they get into like the simple readers, most of the letters used on the page are lowercase letters. But of course, they need to know them all. Look at this cute kid.
Strawberries. Milk and cheese. Spaghetti. Taco stuff. Bananas. More potatoes. Lettuce and tomatoes.
I mean, isn't that amazing? Look at all that language, like, and it's in a playful way. Is he stressed out by that? No, right? He's playing. He might even go next to go shopping or make, I would play restaurant with my kids and they're little in their little toy kitchen, and they go make things. They bring it to me. We have like the whole language around a restaurant. Super fun. Right, so all of those scribbles that look like and letter-like formations that are happening now, in a year from now, they'll start to look like this. Right, here's a kindergarten writing. And it says, I am shooting the soccer ball. Right? Look at all that wonderful writing. Like, we have left to right. We have some spaces. We're starting to learn the concept of a word. Right? We're hearing some middle sounds. We have some high frequency words that are known, like the word the, am, I. Look at sock. Right? We got some sounds, and there's some medial sounds, like in the middle. Like, that's amazing. We have some ending sounds, ball. Hearing the ending. Like, there's so much that goes into this. Like, it's pretty amazing that kindergartners can do this. Okay, I wanted to show you a little bit. I pulled a pre-K from a while ago. She's actually in 4th grade now. And I wanted to just demonstrate how you could help your child write. And I want you to notice how I don't do a lot of quizzing. I'm not asking her, what is this, what's that? I'm doing some telling as well, so providing some support. So just listen to little Layton here.
Red, orange, yellow, blue.
What a yummy ice cream cone. 3 big scoops like that? Let's see if we can write some of those words. How about we try to write the word red? That was the first color you said. Let's try to write this together.
Oh. It starts with an R.
It does. It does start with an R. Do you know what an R looks like? Let's see. Let's look at our chart. An R is right here.
Wait, I only know how to do that one. Not that one.
The uppercase?
I can only know how to do that one.
Okay, well you can write either one of them. Okay, now look at me. Watch me say the word slowly. Red. Can you say it slowly? Red. Come here, Max. Red. That is the letter E that looks like this. Watch me make it.
Oh, I know how to make it. I know how to do that one. I don't know which one to do. I know how to do both.
The one that looks like this. Let's say the word red again slowly again. Ready? Red.
D.
Good.
I know how to make that one. I forgot how to make that one.
Do you want me to show you? Watch. Go up, over,
I'm gonna do that one. I don't know how to make it.
Can you try the over with before? Just try it.
Can I do?
You want to try it on here first? Okay, practice. That's fine. You can practice it on here. So it's like you're making the letter C. We go way up. You did it. Oh my goodness.
Wet.
You just wrote the word red. High five.
And now I'm gonna write it.
Okay, it was so great. That was her first time ever saying the word slowly, writing down their sounds, and then I was just going to do one word with her and call it good. She's like, I want to keep writing, because she had so much success, right? We just tell them like, hey, let's do this. And like right now it could be just the first letter. Like this was towards the end of pre-K, right? So, but right now if you hear the first sound, that's great. Let's write that first letter together. And then you can quickly write the rest of the word to show them what it looks like, right? So, but really the one thing that if you walk away with something today, this is the next part is really what I want you to walk away with. So yes, we can build their language, we can build their letter knowledge and their word knowledge and their writing knowledge, but ultimately if you do one thing, it's read to them. Right? It's just so clear. Reading out loud to your children and having conversation around books is just a beautiful time together, right? There's so much that's happening there, right? You're advancing their speaking skills. You're having this joy that's coming, and maybe you're laughing about the story, you're talking about it. You're helping them lay the foundation for all that comprehension work. You're helping them, their stamina of their concentration is growing to hold their attention. They're thinking about logical problem solving, right? There's also that emotional bonding that's happening with you. And they're really having that positive attitude towards reading by having that time with you. And it's really a shared family experience. Like as they get into, they move up and you're reading harder books, like you might be pulling from like, oh, remember that book we read together? Hey, this is reminding me of that book, right? Because you're all having that shared family experience together when you're enjoying that story. Okay, so there's something called a million word gap. So they looked at children that were read to at different frequencies. So from age birth to 5 years old. So children that were read to once a month were exposed to 4,000 plus words. And you can see 1 to 2 times per week, it was 63,000 words. 3 to 5 times per week, like 170,000. Daily reading, they were exposed to about 300,000. So if you read 5 books a day from the time they're born to the 5 years, right, they're reading close to 1.5 million words. That's a lot. And it's a big difference between reading once a month versus reading 5 times a week, right? That's amazing difference. So I also think like one of the things, how can we keep books in our children's home, right? Like I know when my kids were young, I would go to the library and check out like 30 books and I'd fill a basket and we just keep filling those baskets up, returning them. And I think sometimes like the real trend is to be minimalist, right? Because there's a lot of books, a lot of clutter, but it really is, you can get cute containers and minimize it, right? But it's really important that kids are touching books, they're flipping through books, they're learning how the front cover works to the back page, they're learning how it all turns over. I'm going to actually we're going to have a little helper come here in a little bit and we're getting really ready for her, but I don't see her yet. So let me just see if they can come. All right, our little Penny, Moshe's daughter, is going to be coming. So I'm really excited for her to demonstrate for you. All right, so you want to read in a variety of books, right? Think about books that have some rhyme, some rhythm to them, some repetition, nursery rhymes, poetry, fairy tales. Fairy tales are so fun, right? Because there's so many variation of fairy tales, they need to know the traditional ones so they can understand all the variations. And there's just so many references and cultural references to them as well. And picture books, wordless books are amazing where there's just pictures and they're telling the story. They get to bring the language to the story and just really talk, right? We want them to have that joyful experience with reading. This is a really great book. It's written for parents, with parents in mind. It's called The Reading Magic, right? And so I'd highly recommend it. If you love read alouds or want to learn more about read alouds, it's a great book for that. Right? The more expressively we read, the more fantastic the experience will be. And the more fantastic the experience, the more our kids will love books. And the more they'll pretend read, the quicker they'll learn to read. So reading aloud is not quite enough. We need to read aloud well, right? And bring that enthusiasm to it. All right, well, I am so excited for our friend that's coming up here. I'm going to have her come up here. All right, Miss Penny. And thank you so much for coming. Miss Klein, can I have you? I have the book up here so everybody can also see it. Would you mind just pushing down as I turn the page? The down button, please. Okay, all right, Penny. We're going to get ourselves set up. Let's come up here. I'm so next to you. Oh my goodness, isn't this exciting? Say a quick prayer for me. All right, Penny, can you crawl up here? I'm going to get you nice and tall so everybody can see you. Can you climb up? Come on. Let's see. I just wanted to get there. Okay. All right. You ready? Remember how we read a book yesterday? This is a different book. She's never seen this book before, so we're going to read it together. This book is called Kaylee's Boots. Do you see this letter K? Okay. Let's trace it together. Ready? K. That's the letter K. Kaylee's boots. Look at her. What is she doing? Oh my goodness. What do you notice about her boots? They are cowboy boots. All right. Kaylee likes her red boots. Oh, what is she playing with?
Unicorn and horses.
Wow. Look at her window. What do you notice at her window?
Cats.
Yeah. I wonder where she lives.
Maybe in the wild.
In the Wild West? Yeah. Kaylee wears her red boots to school. She likes to read in her boots. Look at that book. What is she reading about?
Horses.
Oh my goodness, this is all about horses. She must really love horses. Kaylee wears her red boots at the park. She likes to swing in her boots. So fun. Would you like to swing like that? Let's keep going. Kaylee wears her boots in the barn. She likes to pet the cats in her boots. Oh, what do you notice?
She has a cowboy hat.
Yeah, look at that cowboy hat and the kitty. Do you think she lives in Dallas, in the city? She could. I'm kind of noticing barns though. You know where the barns happen? Barns are, we found them in the country. Kind of looks like her dad might be a rancher. Look, he's got some grain in his bucket. I wonder if he's going to feed the horses. What do you think?
I think he is.
Yeah, the horses need to be fed, don't they? Kaylee wears her boots in the yard. She likes to climb in her boots. What's up in the tree? How many birds do you see? 2 birds and a kitty.
One kitty.
I'm noticing her pants are kind of starting to get a little dirty. I think she's an adventuresome girl, right? She's not the kind of girl who wants to just sit and she wants to go climb in trees and do adventuresome things. Kaylee wears her red boots in the kitchen. She likes to eat dinner in her boots. Look at, what are the kitties doing?
They're looking at books.
Boy, she is so messy. What do you think it might be time for? Do you think it's time for a bubble bath? I think so. Kaylee does not wear her boots in the bathtub. Why doesn't she wear her boots in the bathtub?
Because they're dirty.
Yeah. Do we wear clothes in the bathtub?
Yeah.
No. Look at her bath toys. What are her bath toys?
I think those are my toys.
They are her toys from earlier. Good connection from the beginning. She must really love horses.
Yeah.
Like, really, really love horses.
Yeah. My turn.
But she does not, but she does wear red boots in bed.
What? Right there.
I know, wait, her boots are over here by her nightstand. Why does it say she is wearing boots? Really?
Oh, it's because of this.
What do you notice?
Because she has boots in her pajamas.
Oh, she's got boots on her pajamas. She sure does. Okay. All right. And look, there's a note from the author here. The author is the writer of the story who wrote these books, and it says, "My daughter had a pair of red boots just like Kaylee. She loved them and wanted to wear them every day. She would even wear them to bed if I let her." Wow. So the writer's daughter loved red boots too. Oh my goodness, wasn't that a fun story? Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Thank you. Give her a big hand. Thank you.
Mama.
Okay.
Mama.
Penny did awesome.
Bye-bye, Mama. Thank you.
And you're so perfect. I'm like, I need someone not shy. And I was like, Penny is not shy. That's perfect. Thank you, Penny. All right, so could you kind of see how I was building language, building vocabulary, building a little bit of letter knowledge in the beginning, right? We're still just enjoying the story and talking about it. This is a fun story because, the ending has a little bit of a surprise to it. All right, so as we kind of wrap up here today, I wanted to go through, I think it's helpful that I want you to walk away with, it's really important that we keep the joy, right? We want it to be low stress, be playful. If you start to notice your child's stress levels going up, it's time to walk away, right? We don't want to bring a power struggle into reading and writing, especially in pre-K, right? We want to keep it playful. We want to keep it really light. And so some of my tips for you, just to avoid over-quizzing, because that can put a lot of pressure on the kids, like we want to give them a grace and space to learn, right? Before we start asking, what's this, what's that, what's that? That can feel a little intimidating. So just do a lot of telling, kind of like I did with the K. This is a K. Let's trace the K together with our finger. I am telling her what it is. We want to really communicate, we're doing this together. Watch me do it. I'm going to tell you how this looks. And this is a big one down here. I really want you to think about praising the process and the character that's behind the outcome, right? We don't want to praise, if we say, you're so smart. Oh, you're so smart, you're so smart. That communicates to them oh, I have to know everything. And if I come up against a challenge, that's going to expose that I'm not smart. And so therefore I'm not going to engage in the challenge because I have this narrative that I'm smart, right? So I want you to think about how would you want them to think about themselves when they hit a struggle. I'm a hard worker. I'm a careful looker. I look at the words carefully, right? So think about when they get to a hard thing, what do you want them to know? That they're diligent, they can keep moving on, they're working hard, they're slowing down, they're thinking carefully, okay, those types of things. So really praise the heart, praise the character. Because they're going to run into things that are hard, right? Learning how to read and write, so not easy, very complex. And I know we're still a long ways away from kindergarten, we still have 3/4 of the year, but I think it's helpful for you to know this is the goal for the end of pre-K, where we want our youngest readers and writers that are learning all the things to come into kindergarten. Right? We want that language, carry on a conversation, ask and answer questions, listen and follow directions, identify name of lowercase and uppercase, attach sound to the uppercase letters and lowercase letters. That left to right, top to bottom, white space, 1-to-1 ratio. Readers look at the letters within a word from left to right. Rhyme. Identify initial sound. Blend and segment words. Blend is putting sounds together. Segmenting is saying the words slowly to come up, so they can hear the sounds within a word. Say words slowly. Identify some of the sounds. And then write name with uppercase initial letter and lowercase for the remainder of the letters. Okay? So that's where we're headed to, right? And we try to do it in a fun, playful, age-appropriate way. And it's amazing what you'll see at the end of the year what your children are able to do. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for coming. Do not forget your gift that's over there on the table. And I just want you to walk away with read, talk about books together, keep the joy. And if you have any questions, I can take a few questions now, but you can always email me too if something comes up. I'm here to be a resource for you. All right, so any questions? All right, well, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate your time and your just your participation. It was wonderful. So thank you.